Kurisu, you truly have no idea how much this one line you said at the end of the episode truly means to Kyoma. One day I hope you can laugh from the bottom of your heart. Man, there is a lot of things I need to cover, and there is something very serious that we need to talk about. So to get right into it, it's very apparent that with the way the storytelling is being presented with this episode, they're wanting us to figure out, or think about who could potentially be the person in the mask. We know for a fact it's not Moeka, because Moeka didn't have any wound on her at all in this episode. And on top of that, Okabe managed to realize, like, yeah, it can't possibly be her, because, CERN's obviously not affiliated with these new organizations. So we now can permanently cross Moeka off the list of potentially being the one causing all these problems in the recent episodes. Now, the big question here is who is causing the problem? Well, there's two suspects. Number one, Yuki, which is the person that Daario most likely could be with in the future and eventually have Suzu. Now, once again, this timeline hasn't shifted at all. We know for a fact that, for the most part, Okabe's supposed to live, Daario's supposed to live, and all that. I mean, we know a bunch of these characters are going to be A-okay. And Yuki's supposed to die later on when she gets, basically gunned down protecting Suzu when she's a child. So, we know that she's not necessarily going to die, and eventually she will have to make a change of heart to be able to have Suzu. So that's a big thing right here. So the question is she actually a traitor? Are they trying to imply because of the way her hand was bandaged up and hurt? Are they implying that she is a traitor but eventually will turn turncoat and help them out? Or are they implying that the girl with the glasses, that's the professor flying back, that we couldn't see her hand at all, is completely covered at the end? Are they implying that she's potentially the suspect and the one that's causing all the problems? Now, personally, it can go either way, because when you look at normal concepts of literature and how this trope is usually used, usually it is like the close friend or whatever, or, Daario's lover, that would turn out to be the villain, a bad guy, and then maybe turn around and be a good person in the end, do the right decision or something. That's what you could assume. Now, this is a common theme you would see in writing and all that, so I could easily expect something like that. But also, another common trope is to have another person that looks like they're the fall person, someone that is actually suspect, but in reality, they were completely innocent, and there was someone else that seemed okay, that was truly doing the heinous stuff behind the scenes. For instance, the professor, which we couldn't see the hand in this episode. So, we have two tropes right here. We don't really know, like, who is potentially the suspect. And here's the thing, though. The point is most likely it could do a reversal on us. Instead of us thinking maybe it's just one, what if both of them are actually individuals that are a part of this organization trying to get the laptop? Now, that would be interesting. That would definitely be a little bit of a twist instead of making us wonder if, Yuki is a bad person or if, the professor is a bad person. We don't really know that. But if it turned out they were both working together, then, that would be pretty cool. So I do hope that the story does something very surprising. Let's talk about the stuff with Maho and Kurisu, their connection, their emotions, and Maho basically admitting to herself of how scummy she kind of was being. Now, personally, I think Maho is an okay person. What she did throughout this episode, she was doing something very human, okay? I can't really judge Maho as a person for doing certain things the way she did. For instance, the way she wanted to get into Kurisu's laptop, yes, it's invading someone's privacy, you're getting into it without their permission, but at the same time, Kurisu is dead, okay, at the end of the day, and when someone dies, and you respect them in some way, you might be curious to know more about them. And that's kind of what Maho was. She was very curious to see what was behind the scenes. What was Kurisu like when she wasn't being a scientist? She wanted to see that. She wanted to see her hidden secrets and stuff. Not to reveal it, like to put her down and make her look bad, but just to see who she really was. And that's why Maho was really anxious to get into the laptop, was because she wanted to see what legacy Kurisu had. She kept saying, legacy, but in reality, what she wanted to get the certain papers or whatever was in there that could potentially be very important or vital for science in the future, to use that to progress Kurisu's will. She was going under the, the pretext of, I'm doing this for Kurisu, I'm doing everything I'm doing. For instance, I want to further her legacy. That's what Maho wanted to do. But the thing was, in reality, she was just using that as an excuse just to be able to get the papers and do something very similar to kind of how Kurisu's father was going to do. For instance, as we know, Kurisu's father was going to kill her. and eventually just run off with the papers. That's what he wanted to do. And basically, Maho wasn't to that extreme, but she wanted to use Kurisu's papers, her legacy, to further her own goals. But then she admitted that it was pretty scummy, and she said, like, you know, I shouldn't have been doing that. And then Okabe's like, look, you holding that piece of the laptop desperately in your hands, showing emotion, crying about Kurisu and all that, it shows that you do care about her. Regardless if some of the things showed that you were envious or jealous of her in some ways, at the very least, it does show that you're not completely despicable. You're not someone that doesn't care about Kurisu or was using her in any way. You just wanted to, you know, your goals got a little bit mixed up and all of that. And so, Maho, I think her, you know, big issue with her character that was introduced in this episode, I don't think it's that big of a problem. I like her character. It humanizes her, because that's how people are. I mean, I know for a fact if I cared about someone, I would want to know more about them, and, you know, certain things might get twisted along the way. So, yeah, I do think that was a really cool part to this episode with Maho. Speaking of her, we have a scene with her and Okabe having, like, a very romantic moment, and I don't know how to feel about that, because, I mean, we know Maho's of legal age. I'm not even going to get into the lolly situation, or legal lolly and all that. I'm not getting into that, okay? No, stop. But the thing is the whole stuff with Maho, I don't know how I feel about it from the concept of just Okabe being in a relationship with her. The reason why is because I always have seen, if there's someone that he was going to end up with, it would either be Kurisu or Mayuri. I never would think that Maho would be that person that he could end up with. Now, most likely, the visual novel, he probably could end up with her, because visual novels usually have different routes, endings, different girls you could pick and stuff like that, and most likely, since Maho is a new female character that was introduced in Steins Gate Zero, then I would assume that most likely you could potentially end up with her in the game. Now, I don't know if that's the true ending or not. I have no idea, because that's really never been clarified from, you know, the original Steins Gate, or from the information we got from Steins Gate Zero. So, for all we know, he could end up with Maho, have a child or something. I have no idea. The point stands is that I don't know how to feel about, you know, Okabe and Maho. I don't know. I just feel like I would like it to be someone else. Not Mayuri, obviously. I mean, I would be fine with it, but someone else. But there was a very romantic moment going on in this episode, and I wonder if that's, like, hints at something potentially happening for the future of Steins Gate Zero. Let's talk about the situation with how Okabe revealed the truth to Maho, and how Daario reacted. So, Daario, the way he acted towards Okabe, he's like, you're delusional and all that, and he tried to keep it under wraps, not say anything. I respect that from that man. You can see that Daario clearly respects Okabe. I mean, we already knew about this with his combo he had with Suzu a couple episodes back, but just you can see the way he acts, the way he was protecting the identity of Okabe, or what he knows, for instance, about, you know, the time machines and stuff. I just like that entire conversation. It just shows that this man is very secretive, but we also get to see another side of Daario that we really have never seen before. We knew that he was a super hacker. We knew he was good with technology. We knew for a fact most likely he would be the one messing with, you know, Maho's computer, and that did turn out to be very true. It was predictable, but it wasn't bad nonetheless, because it does fit in with the canon of the story, and it also fits in with everything that was set up previously in the episode, so I have no problem with that whatsoever. But the point is, though, we get to see how when they get under attack, when people locate them and they're coming into the store, Daario demonstrates something that we truly haven't seen from his character. We know he's pretty hardcore in the future timeline of Steins Gate Zero. We know he's skinnied up. We know the man is made a time machine. He's like a on the #1 wanted list. We know for a fact the man, you know, is very skilled probably at running away. And just seeing what he did in this episode, having multiple hideouts, he was going across the roof and all that, I'm like, I could see why this man survived for so many years in the future because of what he was doing in this episode. It was just really impressive just to see his character like that, and I just can't wait. I can't wait to see more of that, because that was a really nice side of Daario that we don't really get to see at all, and I want more of that. We have it to where Okabe is actually asked to go to the university that Kurisu was once at. He got invited, basically, to get into there, and so that's an objective. Basically, Okabe eventually getting into the same college that Kurisu was, which I wonder if that's going to happen, and I wonder if we're going to get a time skip, because the way the story was being done in this episode, it seemed like we were prepping for a time skip, because this series is not about going back in the past and repeating a certain, you know, time period, for instance, like 1 week or so, or a couple days. It's about an entire span of a timeline, a world line, which is this beta world line that Okabe is currently in. So I feel like we're about to have a time skip. That's what it looked like to me by the way this episode was done, but I could be wrong there. But I want to end this video here. So I love you guys. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And I love you guys. Chibi out.